Alright, what's up, guys? I think first we need to do a little bit of a sound check here, because I have a bit of a new setup. If people, well, I guess if you're following my Twitter, you know that my air conditioner has has been has been ruined. So, um, as to not die in 90, I think it's like 91 here today. So to not die of dehydration or whatever during a stream, or just in general throughout the day, I have employed the use of a stand-up fan, and it's behind me right now. Um, it's blowing side to side. I got the moving head there. Is this a game stream? You know what? I'm not sure yet. I just went live on a whim. Probably, probably a bad idea, but I felt like since I didn't stream yesterday, I should get on here and do something. I don't know, man. A blog stream. I look. You don't have to. You don't have to hang out. I thought that just because just to stay consistent, that I should do something. Maybe we'll play a game at some point. Right now, you get to listen to my story about an air conditioner. How one individual's need for an air conditioner was destroyed. It's really not that interesting. It's just after a couple of years of use every summer, I take it in and out because it's a window unit. The room only has one window, so I don't leave it there all year long because I like fresh air. And it I just discovered that probably for the last 3 months I've been blowing mold spores into my room. Not a good thing. The thing that made me look was the other day, one of my books that I had on the desk, I discovered that it had mold on some of the pages, which was, strange to me considering the book has rarely left the room. And, the only thing I could think of was the air conditioner. So, sure enough, I look into the air conditioner, and visible patches of mold. And it wasn't just like the kind of surface shit that you could clean off. It was deep in there. So unfortunately, it had to say goodbye after like I think 3 or 4 years of use. I mean, I guess that's not bad for like 130, $140, but I won't be buying another one. Let's just say that. And then on top of that, um, today I've also found out that my car needs like $400 worth of work, which is just fucking awesome. I think like one or two of the things is covered by warranty because I only got it last year, but the rest of the stuff is like brakes and rotors and shit. So unfortunately, that's going to be a big chunk out of the pocket, which, oh boy, that's a bad hit to the bank account, at least for me. You know, Big Mac with 13 lemons. Thank you very much, much appreciated. Well, that'll go towards the that'll go towards the broken car. Was I getting sick? Yeah, actually, I was. I went to the doctor for it last month. I had like really, really bad, a weird sore throat that I had like never experienced before. It wasn't just. I don't know how to explain this very well, without like, I guess, drawing you a picture or something. But the best way to describe it was like it was the feeling of a sore throat, but like lower down on my neck. And so they thought like maybe my thyroid was more fucked up or something. So I got like all these tests done and all that shit. And they didn't find anything. So I'm assuming maybe it was because of the mold issue. It's The Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Oh yeah. I don't know. Man, maybe we could play more Legend of Zelda. I feel like I should have more heart containers. Yeah, expensive car problems rule. Well, it's such a bullshit. I don't know, the whole mold thing. Like, I get it. I mean, there's plenty of humidity, and I don't leave it on all the time. Like, if I leave the house or something, usually I turn it off. I mean, I guess in part it's my bad because they said like you should try to leave the window units on. But I didn't realize that using an air conditioner required like in-depth research. So it happens. What are you gonna do? But yeah, I'm not gonna put like lay out another $140 when I got the car shit to do, and then on top of that, I'll probably have to replace it in another 3 years anyway, or maybe even less. It depends how long it takes for the fucking mold to form. For all I know, I could have been doing this the last few summers and just not have realized. Because you can't really see deep into the machine. The only reason I saw it was because it started to like build up like right in the front screen there. And I wash out the filter and stuff like you're supposed to, so it's not like I don't keep good maintenance, but you have some good news, huh? What is that? I will await this declaration of good news. Looking forward to it. Don't crush my dreams. I don't know. Going to be a walking man. I mean, I like to walk even though I have a car. I try to do that. Of course, it's not. The weather lately this summer has not been very conducive to walking. I went like last week, and I was drenched with sweat when I got back because holy shit. This week I had $60 burning a hole in my pocket. I thought you did something amazing. Can you guess? You decided to donate to my Patreon? No. You did the Jesse Lee Peterson cameo? Did you really? Oh man, I mean that's funny. Did you really? Like what? When is it supposed to be? When is it supposed to happen? We'll play it on the stream when it happens, of course, but you need to channel your inner med to endure the het? The het or hell? I feel like it's more enduring hell. Imagine Scratch runs up to you, chat, hits you with 2 sword attacks, and steals your 4 bombs. What would you do? Oh, the heat. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was like, why do I have to deal with the hetero, I've already dealt with it. I bought a week's worth of groceries, then found this free sticker so you can see what the guys after Bald Bull look like. I've seen those guys. I remember King Hippo and the Indian dude. I don't remember what his name was, but I do remember fighting him. I appreciate that, though. And Piston Honda, there he was. Don't you fight some of those guys more than once? Like, isn't there a rematch or something? I could be wrong on that one. It has been, probably like over 10 years. Maybe more. Honestly, I think the last time that I played Punch-Out in any meaningful capacity, like I actually had played it on the NES, and I haven't had a Nintendo. I haven't had a Nintendo hooked up in a long time. Wait, but isn't one of those guys Bald Bull? Right there. I see him. That's him. Don't look. I know what Bald Bull looks like. I'm not crazy here. I know. Oh shit. Well, I spelled it Punch-Oit, but it still found it. Yeah, that's him. He kind of looks like one of those. I don't know. For some reason, he always reminded me of like a pro wrestler. Kind of along the lines of like Hulk Hogan or whatever. They got the balding spot, but a little bit of hair. The steroids balding. No, I don't know. Game Genie turns any shitty Bald Bull fight into an instant classic. Yeah, I know what you're going for. The irate gamer. Let me see. Let me see what you're talking about. Like I said, I haven't played this game in ages. All opponents. All right. No, you fight Piston Honda again. Except in my version, I had to fight Mr. Dream. Not even you never watched the R8 Gamer. Oh boy. I don't know. It's not really about anything, honestly. I'm just streaming for the sake of streaming because I feel bad when I don't, when I skip a day. It's just, I'm so used to doing it now. But it's like, it's also a bit of a trap, right? Because, look, it's fun and all, but then when you have like a shitty day or something and you just don't feel entertaining, how does one entertain when you do not feel like it's entertain, or like you can be entertaining, I guess. I don't know, I've kind of just been in one of those moods lately. It's not a good thing. Also, as far as like gaming goes, I don't want to say I'm like burned out on games, but just like I've been so indecisive about what to play or like what I want to invest time in. It just, you ever get in one of those moods where just none of that shit is appealing? I mean, there's plenty of classics that I always like and always go back to, of course, but it's just like one of those times where you're like, you think of everything on the list and you're like, you want to do that? No. You want to do that? No. How about that? You want to do that? No. You want to do that? No. And I know, I'm glad like people are going to jump in and be like, oh, you should play this or that or whatever. And that's cool. I appreciate that people like want to see stuff or, suggest stuff. But my problem is like, it's got to be something that I'm in the mood for, or else it's just not going to be fun for me. And if it's not fun for me, it's not going to be fun for any of you guys because, I'm just going to get like, okay, maybe sometimes you do get entertainment like out of me getting pissed off or whatever. And I get that. I think it's funny sometimes too. Like, even if I'm yelling on the outside, I'm not the sad clown on the inside. It's a little bit funny. I like to go off sometimes. But, at the same time, for example, okay, we'll go back to the Armor Tale stream. For people who sat and saw the Armor Tale stream, that was great. Like, that was a lot of fun. Even though by 3 a.m. I was ready to, just pass out. We really accomplished something. We finished the game. It was fun, even when it got difficult, even when I got mad, even when there was that glitch that made the blocks disappear right on the final jump before the last boss room. That was a good one. But in the end, I was victorious. And that's what counts. See? That's what made it all worthwhile. How dare you not judge yourself with the thought of gaming? Oh, that's another thing that kind of just passed my I guess view the other day yesterday. See, I'm losing track of the days too. The whole Joe Rogan thing where he said, there's that clip where he's like saying video games are a waste of time or whatever. I put a little response on it, not because it angered me or anything. I just want to make that clear. Like, a lot of people were, to anybody who replied were like, how is this even a controversy? Like, I don't think it was a controversy. I do think it got blown way out of proportion. And this is why. Not because I really agree with him, which we'll get into, but just because I think there's become this sort of sensitivity surrounding that topic. And the reason being is that because, gamers, are always villainized, and by the people who should be there, like who they're the audience for. So you got these developers that are talking down to gamers all the time. You got these game journalists, supposed game journalists, who are supposed to enjoy the hobby but seem to really hate it and everybody who takes part in it. So I understand that. People are tired of it. They're tired of hearing gaming just being kind of like singled out as this terrible thing that is for terrible people, and that has to be changed. So I do understand that part. But then on the flip side, it's like you end up becoming, I don't want to say like horseshoe or whatever, but to an extent, remember that part of the reason why you're kind of speaking out or whatever is because these people pretend they're offended by everything, right? So now when somebody makes like the slightest comment, like, oh, it's a waste of time, it's not whatever, you don't have to flip out about it. Because here's the thing. I don't care if somebody thinks that my hobby or one of my hobbies is a waste of time. That doesn't matter. You don't need external validation to do the things that you enjoy. And it feels like a lot of people have kind of forgotten that. I understand, countering really stupid points and stuff. Like when game journalists say a bunch of dumb shit, like, oh, all gamers are sexist and racist, and I get that. But for something like where some dude, like Bad Boy says, some dude that just smokes weed all the time, to say like, oh, gaming's a waste of time. Yeah, come on, like, okay, dude, you're saying that in a 3-hour podcast. Like, think about it, okay? And this is, trust me, I'm self-aware here. I get it, okay? Because here I am on a podcast about to say this. But technically, listening to a podcast is just as wasteful, if not more so, than gaming. Because at least with gaming, like, you're playing the game, and you got to utilize your hand-eye coordination and all that, and improve those things, and maybe keep yourself limber, with some critical thinking skills. But with the podcast, you're just listening, sometimes passively listening, doing something else. Like somebody replied to my post and they said, oh yeah, well, I can listen to a podcast while I'm driving, but I can't game. Like, okay, dude, but it's the act of driving that's getting you somewhere. It's not the podcast. The podcast is just background noise. It's a bonus, a quote unquote bonus. So yeah, I don't think it's worth it to create a huge controversy over some dude that's just like, oh, it's a waste of time. I get it, because he's like, has a lot of listeners or whatever, that some people think, oh, he's gonna give gaming a bad name. People are gonna listen to that. I mean, if that's what they agree with, just from a dude saying some 1-minute clip about how it's a waste of time, they probably already had those thoughts. Like, how easily led must you be? Another thing that I don't think is useful in response to this shit is like people trying to point out, like, oh, well, look at these gamers that make millions of dollars and shit playing video games. Well, first of all, that's a very, in the grand scheme of all the people that play video games, that's probably a really small percentage of the overall population. But also, I don't really subscribe to this idea that you have to make it your living, or you have to be getting rich off of it in order to have it be worth your time, or something that's acceptable to other people. Because here's the thing, any hobby or any activity, I guess I'll say, can be bad if you overindulge in it. Like, of course, somebody who never does anything else aside from like World of Warcraft, 16 hours a day, and then, maybe sleeps 8 hours, if that, is not really doing anything productive. I mean, they're probably also not really causing much trouble either. So you kind of make yourself like a non-entity, but you're probably hurting your health. You're probably not developing any other useful skills. So yeah, you can neglect other aspects of your life if you put too much time into one thing. That's obvious to me. But again, that could be applied to just about anything. And I just don't think that I don't think it's wrong, inherently wrong, to do something that might be construed as a waste of time. Like, it's good. I think it's healthy to an extent to take a break from real life once in a while. Like, if you take care of all your shit for the day and you just want to zone out for a little or visit, Final Fantasy Land or whatever have you, you should be able to do that because you need that break. I mean, how many people, overwork themselves or just put everything into their work or whatever it is that makes them money and they get burned out? Happens all the time. Will Tim Pool disavow Joe Rogan? Wow, the Quartering and Angry Joe's tweets about this really says a lot. Wait, what did they say? I mean, I also just don't value the opinion of Joe Rogan that much. He's like a non-entity to me, really. He talks to other people, and from what I've seen in his podcasts, there are some times where he's a little bit aggressive with people, but it's only for example, is the weed topic. It's only something that he's super invested in. You can't say anything. He went out of his way to be a dick to Steven Crowder during that interview or whatever. But most of the time, it feels as though he kind of mirrors almost the mindset of the person that he's talking to, and I sort of understand that in a way that maybe that's sort of an interviewer technique to get people to open up and maybe be more real with you and stuff. I don't know, but still, I can't really take a guy too seriously that's all hard up about marijuana and stuff. It's not that serious, dude. Tony, thank you for the 4 lemons, also much appreciated. Pull that up. Yeah, I don't know. This is stupid. Hey, did you see this clip about gaming is a waste of time? Smokes weed. Hey, Jamie, pull that up. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's really funny. You can call anything a waste of time, but a waste of time, a quote unquote waste of time, is not always inherently bad. I'm just not mad about it though, because again, I don't care if everybody else on Earth ended up thinking gaming was a waste of time. If there was some RPG that I liked or whatever, there's plenty, and I wanted to play it and I enjoyed the story and blah blah blah, I had a good time doing it. That's fine. That's all I need. I don't need everybody else to be like, oh, that's so fucking awesome, dude. And here's the thing. I feel like since I was into the hobby before it was super popular, I'm already used to people not validating it. Back when I was a kid, I had a couple of friends that played video games or that I could play games with, but most of the time I did it by myself in my own time. And a lot of people back then were like, oh, video games are gay or RPGs are gay. You couldn't, if you couldn't talk about Madden or something or, the latest first-person shooter, you were a queer. And it's definitely gotten to the point now where it's it's one of the most accepted hobbies. I mean, now it's if you don't play video games at all, you're weird. Weed is 100% worse than video games. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people claim they get benefits out of it, which I get. I mean, whatever. It's not my thing, but I definitely don't think it's anywhere near as anything close to gaming. People think Rogan is a smart show to listen to. Yeah, that kind of drives me nuts too. It's this is a podcast for intellectuals because we talk about the real important issues along with the silly stuff. I don't know. I just think if your claim to intelligence is I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, or I like the I fucking love science page on Facebook, or I listen to Sam Harris or any of these other, like, you know, thinking types or whatever. TED Talks, all these stupid things that people prop up as like, oh, this makes me smart because I'm informed. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's stupid. I mean, I don't respect it. I don't have any respect for it at all. Especially when people act as though it makes them some sort of higher being. Like, if that's just your thing and what you genuinely like, okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not into it, but if you're kind of posturing about, how it makes you smart or some sort of intellectual, get out of here. I think it's so stupid. I just don't care about that. Again, if it's just, something that you like for whatever reason. I mean, I'm sure I like plenty of stuff that people think is dumb or weird or, hey, gay, there you go. That was a blast from the past. I don't know. It's just, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you like something, if you enjoy doing something, within bounds of reason, of course. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that could justify the worst behaviors with like, it's just my hobby. It makes me feel really good when I do it. I'm talking about like normal shit, like video games or reading or, playing guitar, something like that. I'm not talking like these, child rapists or some shit. Because I know how easily people do that now where it's like, well, they're consenting and it's not hurting anybody, so it's totally okay. I don't subscribe to that either. But I'm just saying for like regular old hobbies, you don't need everybody to agree with you or everybody to enjoy it. And I think that in spite of all the bullshit where it's like everybody talks down to the concept of gamers, you kind of have to step back. You kind of have to step back and remember that you don't need somebody else to validate your hobbies. You don't need somebody else to enjoy them as well. You don't need somebody else to like look at you and respect you for it. There's way too much of this need to be like, I don't know, accepted, included. It's such a dumb talking point because obviously not everybody likes the same things. And this seems like something that we all should have learned in, the first grade. So I almost feel ridiculous talking about this as though it's some kind of big problem. But it really just seems like so many people have just forgotten. They're fighting on behalf of these things that, I mean, nobody's really I guess the more I don't want to say nobody's trying to take it away because you do have these social justice types that are trying to do it. But, so one random person not liking your hobby is not going to be the end of the world. Now, if there's somebody who's like in the industry and, they're writing up these hit pieces about developers and gamers and whatnot, I can see where you got to draw the line and be like, okay, this is bullshit. Because that's going to change the hobby itself. That's going to affect it directly. But somebody who's just like has nothing to do with the hobby itself really, or is just speaking an opinion randomly, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's not the worst thing in the world. That's why I thought when we talked about that shit with like the Final Fantasy VII remake where people on Twitter were, like arguing over the pairings, like the Cloud Tifa, Cloud Aerith stuff. It's so stupid, man. I don't know. Nobody cares? I don't know about that. It seemed like a lot of people cared. I don't care what he thinks, but other people seem to very deeply, and I just thought it was kind of silly that they would do that. I also don't know if you're being like 100% serious or what, so. Cloud is officially paired with Tifa, by the way. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you're arguing about video game characters. I understand that to some extent, we're going to be invested in the stories and the characters and stuff, because that's part of like the entertainment. But when you turn it into some stupid fan war on social media, you really are, and this is, said with full self-awareness, you really are kind of wasting time and effort, because people aren't going to just change their mind or like see this in a different light just because you're demanding that this is the canon, or this is the way it is. How many times have you tried to show somebody proof that whatever it is that they're saying is wrong, and then they just ignore it anyway? It happens all the time. All the time. The real Cloud is queer with depression. Well, I mean, I guess he's not the most manliest of characters ever. That is true. Well, I don't want to say spurging exactly, but there was a lot of quote unquote backlash on Twitter about it. He's not even accidentally manly. That's true. I don't know though. Like, I guess that game really was the turning point of Final Fantasy. I think, a lot of people got into RPGs at that time. It kind of made them more mainstream, more acceptable, which I never required. I mean, we had plenty of great RPGs before that. So that's why it gets a lot of praise. It's an average Final Fantasy. It's not super offensive to me, but at the same time it's not as incredible as everybody that, really loves it thinks it is. But as far as like characterization and stuff, that really was a turning point, I think, for kind of going downhill, kind of, because look at what you got. I know some people in the chat here definitely don't agree with this, but look at what came after 7, Final Fantasy 8. I don't know. I mean, what does it mean to, some people claimed that they were trying to cancel him. I don't see how that would work exactly. I honestly, even if it was something legitimate, I don't see how it would work. Because he has a huge audience. They're not going anywhere just because somebody's getting mad on Twitter. Tony, thank you for the 4 lemons. But I was just responding to the idea of like this waste of time concept, the way that people just shouldn't bother to get super worked up over somebody not liking their hobby. It's not, it's just not important. Well, bad take reported unfollowed. Yeah, well, like I said, I didn't see anybody calling for a cancellation, but there was a lot of angry responses. That's all. I mean, I'm sure maybe you could find somebody who was trying to do it. To me, it's not a big deal. I mean, because for one, I don't go to Joe for life advice, and two, it's just like, it wasn't the worst comment that somebody could ever make. SJW's of a bit. Well, I mean, they tried with like his commentary about how fighters who have transitioned, like male fighters who have transitioned into women, shouldn't be fighting other women. Only the left can cancel. Nobody gives a fuck about what someone who isn't them says. Well, I think you're partially right. Like the institution, the accepted narrative, sure, but in within like a different, I hate to use the term, but community. Like don't a lot of conservative people counter signal each other all the time and kind of clean house for what they think are, the people that are just going a little bit too far to the right or whatever. So there's infighting. There's, like what Bad Boy said, like Con Inc., they do it within their circle of ideas. Like they can't, they partake in the same sort of behavior. Maybe it's not accepted mainstream, but they do put their own little version of hit pieces out there towards people that they think are a little bit too far to the right. I mean, look what they did with the America First stuff. Also, bad take on trans fighters. It's hilarious watching. While it is, I mean, there is that sort of satisfaction to it, seeing the consequences of your massive mistake. That's true. I don't disagree there. I mean, I think the concept itself is stupid, but if that's what you guys are gonna do, I'm just gonna put up my hands and kind of back away slowly. Have fun. Well, yeah, like I agree with you that they don't have meaningful power, but if you're being kind of maligned by both the mainstream media and then the the Con Inc. people, which at the very least is like the bare minimum of conservative acceptability, then I can see how you're kind of even further ostracized because you have no one to go to, really. One of Rogan's first comedy albums starts with a skit about him and some other guy working out in the basement and then committing what? It's actually a true story about... Wait, what? I don't know, but I've seen very little of his stand-up comedy, and it just didn't entertain me at all. There's a great clip that I saw where they put together clips from his stand-up, and then they put together clips from when he was talking with, I think, Jeff Garlin on his podcast, and Jeff was saying how, like, if you have to do the very, animated comedy where you're like, you're humping your... you're humping the stool that's on stage or whatever, and then it's like juxtaposed with all these clips of Rogan doing just that. He was basically saying you're a poor comedian if you do that. And Joe in the clip was kind of he wasn't really getting so much defensive as he was trying to kind of like, well, come on, it's not, it's not that bad. Sort of that kind of thing. It was just really funny to watch. Norm Macdonald roasted the fuck out of hacks like Rogan for that. You know what? I don't even watch stand-up comedy anymore. Like, the last time I tried to watch it, it turned into a sermon about social issues, and I was like, this isn't even, like, where are the jokes? Because, don't get me wrong, people are going to be like, well, comedy has always included social issues. No shit, but there were jokes in there, There were jokes in there. There was a punchline. There was a moment where you felt like you wanted to laugh. Now I don't get that. Now there's a moment where I want to turn it off because it's just not entertaining. So if I wanted to get lectured, I wouldn't turn on a comedy special. That's not... Yeah, right. Like, I saw a clip of that. I didn't even watch the whole thing because I knew it was just going to be, ridiculous. And I was like, no, this isn't funny. I thought, like, some of his stuff in the previous special, even though there was a little bit of preaching in that too, but in, like, the previous special, at least there were some jokes that you could laugh at. This time around, it was just like, yeah, I'm here because this bad thing happened, and I want to lecture everybody about it. Like, oh, okay. Well, it's really good that in spite of all the oppression, you could just call up Netflix and they'll be like, yeah, come on, get on the stage and preach away. We really want to put that out there. That must be a nice thing to be able to do. Can I have a direct line to Netflix and get up there and talk about what I want to talk about? No, I can't do that. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought we were equal. Going after Carlos Mencia for stealing jokes, but he gave Amy Schumer a pass. I don't know why anybody would give Amy Schumer a pass. Well, unless they were passing on her for other reasons. Yeah, I've never watched a complete Bill Hicks stand up, but I've seen clips, and I didn't really. I didn't really feel inclined to seek out more. Like, sometimes there's just... You see a clip and you're like, I definitely want to check the rest of that out, just to see if it's as entertaining. In this case, I was like, I don't really get the... maybe there was a time and a place for it, and it was more... I don't want to say impactful, but towards a... when you're younger, you have a different mindset than you do now, so maybe like Mutiny said, you tolerate it better when you're 16. Because it's easy to think about that kind of thing. The government wants to give Trump bucks again. Yeah. It's my chance. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. It's like, all right. I mean, here's the thing. I don't even necessarily have a problem with, like... first of all, I didn't know this, because I guess I didn't spend much time in those circles. I didn't even know, like, that there were so many George Carlin worshippers. I never knew that. Of course, it was brought to my attention. And now it's like, oh, I feel weird about this, because the way that people talk, like, oh, if he was here now, just imagine what he'd say. Like, who gives a shit? I thought some of his stuff was funny, but I don't care. I don't need to, like, look to him for, social direction or, like, what he's got to say about X big issue. Because, I mean, I have the capacity to think about that for myself and decide what I want to feel about it. That wasn't the funny part to me. Like, he had some entertaining observation. Honestly, I found myself enjoying the 80s, the 70s and the 80s and, like, maybe the early 90s stuff more than anything else. Like, I don't know. But I wasn't into... I've never really been much for, like, the political stuff. And here's the problem, really, I guess, is, like, people will see a good comedy bit and then kind of use that to justify whatever, like, gay worldview they want to take on. So, George Carlin, I remember he had, like, the religion thing where it was, like, the biggest bullshit story of all time or whatever. Now listen, I genuinely laughed at some of those things in there. I didn't agree with them, like, on a fundamental level, but I can laugh at things that I don't agree with because it's a joke, okay? But then you've got people that, like, latch on to that bit, and they're like, yeah, it's complete fucking bullshit. There's no higher power. There's nothing out there. Respect's a dust and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people take on that mindset. But when I watch something like that, I don't get mad about it. I don't decide, like, you know what? I agree. Now I'm gonna think this way. That's the way it really is. So it's stupid. I can think there are funny things within something that I disagree with. Back then I wasn't dead. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I was a little bit. Old liberal is close. Well, I mean, you're right. The window has shifted. But here's the thing. I don't even care, what. I guess to an extent, the only reason that you could quote unquote care is because people put stock in celebrity or, the opinions of the famous, whatever it, regardless of what it is that they're famous for. So that's where it becomes an issue and you feel compelled to respond to it. I mean, I think that's part of the reason with the Joe Rogan thing. It's like, oh, that's somebody with a lot of a big audience and a lot of influence, or so they perceive it to be. And so they feel compelled to respond because, they're saying something that they think they disagree with, or that they think will become a mainstream idea because a large personality put it out there. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, I think it happens sometimes. But I also think a lot of the time celebrities just pander to whatever social trend is popular at the time. I don't even have a list of top 10 comedians, honestly. I don't know. I just don't. I don't watch it anymore. Like, there's old specials that I like, but I don't think I can say, like, oh, that's my favorite comedian, or that's. I don't know. It's just, and here's another thing about it is, like, you look at a lot of those great specials from back in the day. For example, we'll go to like Eddie Murphy, like Delirious or whatever. That shit was hilarious. But then you come to find, like, okay, at one point in the 90s, he apologized for, like, the AIDS stuff. And then, I think it was like a year or two ago, it got brought back up again. And there was another, like, oh, well, I look at my old comedy and I cringe. When people... Here's the thing. I think to an extent, every quote-unquote artist... I'm using the term loosely, okay? So don't get triggered. They look back at their old work to some extent and they think, it's not... It's because you're in a different frame of mind than when you made it. So, and I understand that. Like, there's things that... where I've written it at the time and I'm like, yeah, man, I really like this. I'm proud of this. I like it. And then, 5 years down the road, you're flipping through a notebook and you find it and you're like, why I wrote that? Why did I do that? So I do understand that to an extent. But when you, like, put yourself out to the world, like the mainstream media, and you're like, oh, I cringe when I look at my old stuff. It's, I shouldn't have made those jokes. It's not cool. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be sorry for something that you did 30 years ago that wasn't a crime. It's like some people didn't think it was funny. Okay, it's not the end of the world. We'll get by somehow. And you're not going to make those jokes anymore because you're in a different frame of mind than you were in back then. So it's going to be okay, man. It's really going to be okay. So the thing is like, when I hear things like that, then I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back and... Can I go back and enjoy this the same way, knowing that the person that put it out themselves disavowed it? To an extent, I can, yes. But then when I try to think of it, from today's frame of mind, I'm like, why? Why do you have to do that? This shit is genuinely funny, and you just decide, well, I've had a change of heart, and I can't support this old content anymore. But you know what they'll always do? They'll always support the paycheck they got out of it. Every single time. I don't see anybody like, you know what? I'm casting aside my wealth because I earned it on problematic grounds. When's that going to happen? That is what I want to see. That's the bit I want to see. Because I don't give a shit about your societal disavowal for, like, mainstream points, okay? Don't care. Because of that, you're just kind of doing it to feel good. You're not actually accomplishing anything. You're still, like, in your gated community or in your mansion, you got your fancy car, whatever, and you just say you're sorry and it's all good. That doesn't make any sense, because I feel like if you truly, if you were truly standing on principle that you were sickened, you were just disgusted with yourself for ever doing that stuff, then why? Why is it okay to keep the wealth that you made based on that? Seems a little wrong to me. Seems like something doesn't quite add up there. I mean, I know the answer, but it's just one of those things that you're like, okay, buddy, you're real sorry. Yeah, my New York mansion. That is laughable at best. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Did I open the box? No, I didn't. I didn't open the box because it just didn't have much in it. Even now, it only has 89. I think we're gonna hold on. We're gonna hold on. Why is it okay to keep the wealth? You say. Well, I mean, look, I don't even think they should give it up. I'm just saying, don't apologize if you're not going to stand on your principle and like do something about it. Because to me, it just comes off as fake. Does the bot? No, it didn't reset. I mean, I didn't open it on Sunday and it didn't reset. Maybe like, oh, you know what? It definitely doesn't reset because Andy opened it, I would say, I don't know, about like a week ago or something, and he had it like built up to, like an astronomical amount. I think there was like $50 worth of lemons in there. So I don't think it resets because he was building it up over time. No, I was not prom king. That's stupid. It's a Dick Masterson reference. Oh, you know what was funny about that? That comedy specials were needing protection from criticism on Netflix. So I think it was Amy Schumer's and this one other chick that they were getting negative feedback. Well, no. Okay. One lied, okay, and said she was getting a lot of negative reviews on Netflix. And I go to the special on Netflix. This was a couple of years ago. And come to find, there was like one bad review. Now, granted, there weren't a lot of reviews. Maybe there was like 10, 15. And most of them were blind praise. But there was one that was bad. Did not even do anything to mention race. I think this was some Asian woman. And I think I took a screenshot of that and pointed that out on Twitter in response to the, the victimhood tweet. And I got blocked for it, of course. Because, if you demonstrate reality to one of their crazy claims, then you gotta be erased. You can't have that. And then I think they changed the review thing with Amy Schumer when she was getting a lot of 1 stars or something. So they took away the ability to even do that. You didn't go? I didn't go either. I thought it was stupid. I don't care about that shit. Waste of time and waste of money. There you go. There's the real waste of time. I don't know. What just wasn't my thing, I guess. Wish I was a chick good to do a terrible job and be defended if I just say I'm really going through a lot right now. Yeah, I guess that's all it takes, really. Well, see, here's the thing, Heat Blaze. You're not even going to be able to correct the definition anymore because now the definition is changing. So if you're in control of the words and you're in control of the definition of those words, now you have a defense. You could just be like, well, it's in the dictionary, which is funny, which is very funny because these are the same people that when you try to show them what words mean, they're like, well, language evolves over time, so it doesn't even matter what the dictionary says. But now that the dictionary supports their definitions, they will hold the dictionary with them at all times as though it's the Holy Bible. That's how it works, unfortunately. Yeah, well, that's okay. So, Mutiny, your comment just reminded me of I guess 2 streamers that I can think of. There was that stupid Pokimane tweet where she was talking about like, oh, the female streamers get so much hate, but the male streamers get forgiven for everything when they say sorry. And then there was the thing where the one of those Twitch guys committed suicide, and like Alinity was claiming, "Oh, I've been suicidal," right after, that you got the crying video and everything. So of course now it's like everybody has to pull back on any criticism that they ever had, because we don't want to partake in toxic culture where people kill themselves. It's like, all right, you really believe this? Look, here's the thing. I don't necessarily usually like doubt if somebody says they're saying that they're suffering from some sort of, mental health thing or whatever. I mean, at this point, I'm a little burned out on it, so maybe now I'm more, just because there's so much emotional manipulation, I'm more critical of it. But when somebody pulls this up, after they've been getting a lot of backlash for behaviors that, a lot of people saw and disagreed with, and then to wait till some dude kills himself, and then you come out and say this, it comes off as just a little bit opportunistic. But everybody, well, not everybody, but a majority of people are afraid to say that because, they don't want to be seen as, shaming a victim or, just being a bad, uncaring person. I don't think that it's bad or uncaring to point out that somebody is using a serious problem to be manipulative and get their way. It's just kind of messed up that people are taking what could be a legitimate problem and then sort of manipulating it to their needs. And I think a lot of that is just coming down to this thing where the culture has shifted from, being a victim has become something to seek out and remain rather than overcome. And you can see that in just so many facets of life now. And it's not helping anybody. It's not. It's making everything worse. We're all worse for it. Even if you don't partake in it, you're feeling the consequences of it. It's just fucked up. It's completely messed up. And what that does is any legitimate problem that you might be able to point to that could fall under any of these categories, whether it's some stupid ist or phobia that somebody's complaining about, or if it's the whole depression and mental health thing, it's just going to be laughed off at some point. It's just not going to be taken seriously. Or the situations where there is somebody that is seriously suffering from a mental health problem, they're probably not going to get anywhere near the attention or help that they need from somebody from anyone, that could actually help them. At this point, it's just like, it's a badge of honor. So many people, for example, and I guess I saw this starting around the Tumblr culture, where like you look at the bios or the about sections or whatever of these blogs, and they're wearing all these mental illnesses like it's some sort of badge of honor. I get that maybe you don't want to feel bad for a problem that could be beyond your control, but that doesn't mean you have to shift it to take pride in it, okay? You don't have to be ashamed for having a medical condition, but you also don't have to be proud of it. I remember one time suggesting that there was some post that was basically just a giving up sort of post. And I think I just suggested that people should, try their best to, work within the limitations of their problems. And even that was construed as offensive. And I think somebody told me that, like, whatever health issue that I was talking about, I was faking because I clearly didn't subscribe to their mindset. So that made me a fake, which I thought was amazing. Because the people that were responding were like these self-diagnosers, where Now, look, granted, I don't always trust doctors, but I've at least been to enough of them to have a pretty good idea, of what the problem might be. So to just be like called a fake because of a difference in opinion is very interesting, and that's kind of like one of those eye-opening situations where you're like, I can see where this is kind of getting away from the point now, and it's sort of being used as a way to manipulate people than as a way to create like a bridge of understanding and a route to seek treatment or help. Because now it's like, well, no, we don't want help because that's ableist. We need to be who we are, respected for who we are, and never try to change who we are. However, you people, all of you evil people with these bad opinions, you all need to change everything about yourselves, or else you're Nazis and you're bigots and you must be cast out of society. And that's really like, okay, I don't like where this is going. I was always sort of not really invested in any of these topics, or kind of really had my ear to the ground on anything like this. And then you just start seeing all this stuff, and you begin to think, okay, something is really wrong here. There is, right, because they'll just pull up your past tweets from 10 years ago and use them against you, so you can't even change, because there's no real path to redemption. They just like the idea of making you cuck, and then after that happens, they'll destroy you with something else. So it's really pointless to play their game. A lot of people are learning that the hard way, and some don't learn because they're just so infected by this idea that they're being problematic to other people, and the worst possible thing you can be called is problematic or whatever else. Oh, it's just crazy. Right, well, men don't have anything to contribute to the conversation anymore because they're always talking over female voices, and we need to prop those up. I don't know if they have anything worth saying, but we have to prop those up just because, by extension of their identity, which is one of the poorest things. Like, okay, all right, I'm not going to sit around and pretend that society has ever been a perfect meritocracy, right? But at least the idea was kind of out there that you should strive to kind of get the best people and not really base it on those aspects. And I understand that doesn't work 100% of the time because it's a human system. So of course there are going to be flaws, right? You can never have a perfect thing created by people because people are not perfect beings. But now shifting it over to just be like, well, we need this kind of thing because we're lacking in this department. We need this type of thing, this type of person because we're lacking here. That doesn't do anything to rectify whatever you think is wrong, okay? You've just opened a door for even less quality. You've made it worse. So while the old system may not have been perfect, you are making it actively worse by saying, well, we should just throw these people in here for numbers' sake, for representation's sake. I mean, it's a weird thing to me to see all this because, growing up it was like, well, we should just kind of look at people individually and, treat them as such. And I still follow that in my personal life, and it works for me well enough, but they do want you to kind of like close your eyes and pretend so many of these problems out there that you can see exist don't exist, and that I don't like that. It's very manipulative. Now of course they do it because they're trying to protect these. They're trying to protect people from perceptions, but they've gone too far in the opposite direction. And now they're just choosing to protect like the worst possible people or champion the worst possible people because we're worried that somehow we're being discriminatory and all this other shit. It's bad. It's very bad. You can't. I said this last night. It's nothing new. I said it before, but you can't just like swap out people and expect the same exact results. And I think even the people that pretend you can do that don't really believe it, because if that were the case, there would be no need to manipulate the demographics of anything, right? Because everybody would just be the same. Everybody would just have the same exact capacity. And if you're saying that, well, I mean, look, unfortunately, this is becoming more and more popular, but I'm still gonna say, if you go by like the more extreme of, I can't wait till all these people are bred out or whatever, then these problems won't exist. Like, that right there is an admission that you don't believe that everybody is the same. That right there is an admission that you believe that some groups of people are better or more suited for something than others, but the only difference is which group of people that is. That's it. That's completely it. The thing is, I'm going too far. Yeah, I'm always going too far. That's why we're here. We're here to just get wiped off the face of the earth. That's what I want to do. I just want to get destroyed. Somebody destroy my life, please. I think you'll come to find you don't have much to destroy, but I want you to try nonetheless. I think it'd be funny. And listen, there's nothing like a good controversy to boost you up, so why not? Let's go. No, I'm kind of messing around, but the idea that these things don't matter while they are actively acting in a way that shows that they matter is an admission that they also believe in these concepts. They just want a different, they just want a different outcome. I don't know what the real solution is, or if it's already kind of too late. I think things, I don't know. I think things are going to change in a way that it might be really hard to come back from without some sort of serious shift. And of course there are many different, well, maybe there's just a few different ways of how that's going to be brought about, but with the behavior that some people have been displaying, it doesn't look like it's going to be a peaceful one. I don't think it's going to come to all out war, but the fact that we have a quote unquote lockdown where people are bitching at people to wear masks, right? But they're also simultaneously saying that if you want to protest this one specific issue, that is the only valid thing. Are we really supposed to believe that we're in the middle of a pandemic with a rule like that? I don't know. I think that this virus thing is probably serious for some people, but at this point it's also being used to control a lot of people as well. It's sort of an exercise in control. It's also really fucking stupid if you think about it. Like, just think about the fact that they're saying that these people are harmed by society, harmed by the police, harmed by all these external factors, and yet they're perfectly okay with the fact that they're standing out there in large-ass crowds of people during what is supposed to be a deadly virus. Something doesn't add up there. Doesn't make sense. And it's weird. I think what's crazy to me is that so many people have been, like, indoctrinated to believe now, and this is wild. I don't know. I didn't think I'd see the day that somehow the concept of racism is worse than an indiscriminate virus that may kill you. Right, Gamebog, that they said that. So wouldn't you think that you're just putting them out there to be harmed in even higher numbers? Or is that the point? Is that the point? Is that part of it? Do you want that so that you can say, oh, well, here's another way that life has disproportionately affected these people? Even though you set up a self-fulfilling prophecy in which that would happen because of the nature of these, you know what, I'm not going to call them protests anymore, riots. I don't know, man. It's crazy to me that so many people actually think this way. It's like you wake up in a new reality and everything has just gone absolutely nuts. Blog too long, no game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I probably should have went live with this on YouTube too. I wasn't thinking this was going to go on for very long, but whatever. I didn't really get into specific, too many specific topics, so I might still come back with a podcast episode soon. It's just like you get tired of all this shit. You get tired of going over the same what feels like the same topics, even though it's a different iteration of it. It's like the same topic over and over again. So, we're probably on the next episode, we'll probably talk about like the Ghosts of Tsushima thing, and there's another one of those instances that I found where you've got this game journalist that is acting, like they're speaking on behalf of their people or whatever, and you research the person a little bit, and you come to find out it's just another LARP. It's like that same situation that I found with that Rin person. I don't know if anybody remembers that from the previous podcast where I made that joke about the camps, and they tried to get me banned because they were talking about like Japanese internment camps. So, and then you come to find out it's like some quarter Japanese claim to fame, and they grew up in the U.S., then they moved to China, then they moved to Japan, and now they're trying to indoctrinate their Japanese students about weebs. And it's like, you can tell in the thread that they don't care, because she's like, well, they just don't get why it's a problem. You're like, oh, well, that must be really cool. That must be really cool to be complaining about white people being colonizers while you simultaneously move to another country to indoctrinate the masses. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Just get out. This is why I can't take any of this seriously. Or, like, there was a photo of a BLM protest that they held over there, which, by the way, I'm not sure. There's a loophole that foreigners have found to get away with this, but they're not allowed to call it a protest, because it's my understanding that and this is from their own mouths. I found a Facebook group where they were plotting to do these protests. It was just a bunch of foreigners. There was not a single native Japanese in this group. And they were talking about how to find loopholes to get around being arrested for protesting and deported, because if you're a foreigner, you're not allowed to do any kind of political demonstrations under the label of protest. So they were trying to find ways to subvert this. And it's like, oh, well, subversion? Well, who would have guessed? That's wild. Yeah, the signs are always in English. The thing is they actually, I don't want to completely ignore this, but they are actually convincing some Japanese people that this is a problem. So their methods, to an extent, do work, and that's why it's completely fucked up, because you know that eventually these people are the pushiest motherfuckers on the planet, and eventually they will get their way. If nobody does anything, they will get their way. I have this person, I don't know if he watches the podcast, but I have this person that always replies to my tweets about this sort of stuff with just the most defeatist posts you can ever imagine. And he has like some blog where he covers like pause stuff that's entering Japan. And sometimes I just want to I just ignore it for the most part. It's like, yeah, okay, he's all quote unquote black pilled or whatever. And to an extent, I can see why you're losing hope, because it feels like every day it just goes further and further away from where we should try to be. But that attitude to me is just as useless as me pointing it out. Okay? And I don't think it's completely irreversible, but the issue is that, like, nobody is really... There's no meaningful stand, because there's no backing for it. You know, all the corporations and stuff, they're backing these retarded things. And while I don't think it matters that a corporation, you know, spouts some narrative approved opinion, it matters to them. You know, they're the people that care about that. They're the people that put stock in that. And you can't ignore that, unfortunately, people look to these things for worldviews. Now, I think that's messed up. I think that's a waste of time. I think that is the wrong way to go about life. Rabbi Shekels with the host. Not meaning to ignore you, but we're in the middle of a rant here. I appreciate it, man. The thing is, Magnus with the follow, thank you. I'm spitting knowledge at you people. I'm shooting pearls, you troll terrorist and cyber vermin. See, the thing is, I've never claimed to be some sort of like figurehead or anything. I bitch on the internet. Okay, I get it. It's not, in the grand scheme of life, that's not that important. I do think there's some value in putting opinions out there, but I also feel like sometimes it's a feedback loop where you'll put the ideas out there and people will come to you because of those ideas, but they already agree with them. So it's very hard to make any sort of impact in a way where you can kind of bring somebody over who doesn't already agree with you. I will say that I have received YouTube comments on my old videos, which I always thought this was hilarious. It was one of the ones I did on that the concept of non-binary, where I kind of just did what I felt was like a takedown of the concept and why it was not a real thing. And the most hilarious comments I ever received were the few where people were like, you know what, I thought I was non-binary, but then I listened to this video and I realized it was kind of pointless. Like, it didn't really exist. Now, you might say that person is weak-minded and maybe they're easily swayed into different worldviews. And that could be true because, they were at some point convinced that non-binary was a real thing. But on the flip side, it's also good to see somebody acknowledge that they learned something, that they came out of a sort of worldview that was probably hurting them more than it was helping them. I mean, these people want to claim that they're just like happy to be who they are or whatever, and yet the only thing you really see is them talking about how they feel ostracized, how they're not happy with themselves, how, nobody's respecting their pronouns. But now you got somebody who's like, you know what? This shit's stupid. Doesn't really make sense anymore. I don't know why I thought this. I'm just going to try to be a regular person. Like, maybe I don't like everything that my gender is perceived to enjoy, but I'm not some weird middle of the road thing that nobody can identify. I'm a he, him, or I'm a she, her. Yeah, they're trying to be something that they aren't. It's like, maybe they are lost in life. Maybe there is something going on in their personal life that caused them to feel confusion, and they found this thing that they thought was the answer to all their problems, and they just go along with it. And then, because there is this narrative that, like, if you are this thing, you are a victim, they never really escape it because they find a way to blame all of those internal issues on this external thing. And I'm not naive enough to think that external factors don't have any effect on our lives whatsoever. They do, but at some point you have to kind of like take control of things. And look, I'm not a perfect person here or something. I have my own problems following those rules sometimes. It's not easy, okay? I'm not sitting here claiming that like life is a cakewalk just because you follow X, Y, and Z. It isn't. But I think when you push yourself down these roads that there's just no path, like no path for hope, then that's when you just become like worse off and lose everything. Everyone else is always happy and knows exactly what they want if you don't need HRT. That's the way they treat it. It's like, I don't understand. And then there's just so many disgusting issues. I apologize if like me drinking water got like really loud in the mic. There's just so many issues surrounding this stuff that nobody is really willing to take a meaningful stance on. And like, I think it's already starting to backfire in a way. I saw an article, I think maybe this was in the UK, I don't want to say 100%, where kids or teenagers that had transitioned because the doctors gave them the okay, the doctors are now being sued because later down the road, the kid realized, oh, you know what? I'm not actually this thing. What were you thinking giving this to a teenager? And look, I'm not necessarily saying like these kids should win huge amounts of money for this because like the parents were stupid enough to allow this. But at the same time, it's good to see some sort of consequence for an act that is very clearly destroying people. I just don't subscribe to this idea that the only way to treat this this mental illness is to enable it to the fullest extent. Just because you think you're something else, it doesn't mean you are. I mean, look, I could come up with all kinds of wild shit, but it doesn't make it true. Read an article about how that's another thing. Now it's like people see, this is one of those things where it's like everybody talks about awareness for all these issues, right? And I think what happens as a consequence of this so-called awareness is that then everybody who has like the slightest claim to these issues gets a pill. Oh, you feel sad for like 2 weeks? You must have depression. No, that's not how that works. Listen, all right, okay. I will get slightly personal, all right? Over the years, I have been offered all different types of pills for mental health related issues, right? And there was one time where I tried one for like 6 months. And it took a really, really long time and like a hell of a lot of different doctors to even get me to try this. Because I was just so adamantly against it. And, after a while, you're kind of like, all right, I've tried all these things to feel better. I don't feel better. Everybody around, like all the doctors or all the people that you talk to that want to help you think maybe you should give this a try. And at some point it's like, all right, well, what are you going to the doctor for if not for some sort of treatment? So let's break down and try that. It was only a couple years ago, so not even that long ago. I think I spent like 6 to 8 months taking this shit. And nothing happened. Nothing changed. Now I don't know if that just means that, it's the wrong medication for you or whatever. But I didn't feel better. Some days I would say I probably felt worse. And it didn't do anything for me. So I stopped. Now, I still have my moments or whatever. But I think overall I'm better without it. And I don't think that everybody who... I guess I worry that a lot of people put stock in, doctors and science, and I get why to an extent. Like, these are to a degree important things that can help people. I'm not going to go and like wish a case of strep throat away or something. I'm going to go to the doctor, I'm going to get the antibiotics, and I'm going to feel better. Because it works. I've experienced this. I know it works. But for something like that, I just don't know. I think circumstance, plays a lot into it. Although I will say that I have improved, my circumstances before, and I think I reached a boiling point. Maybe I just convinced myself it was better. And then, you have like a break and you think, oh shit, I didn't shake it after all. But I just don't think you can put all your stock in pills, and I don't like this this over medication of a problem that it just doesn't seem to be doing. How is it that people have access to all of these like depression medications than ever before, and yet everybody seems more miserable? I just don't think that that's the solution. I think we need to take like a deep look here. Honestly, it seems like, money is a big factor here. The big pharma, they're at it again. Because they're not really different. Well, sure. I mean, I think a lot of the people that go kind of find these reasons and attribute that to themselves, and then they go to the doctor, and then they tell the doctor this, and the doctor has been trained to accommodate this stuff, and so they offer up these solutions that obviously, at some point, we have to say, this is not a solution. It's crazy. I think, honestly, and, maybe you can call me conspiracy theory or whatever, I think they want people more unhappy. I think they want people depressed. I think they want more people anxious and all these other things, because they're easy. If you have all of these unstable people, they're easy to control. They're always looking for something to save them. And who's going to go ahead and tell them that there's all these things that are here to save them? Well, you got all these politicians. They want power. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. And keeping you dependent on them is one of their goals. Because if the people don't need you, if the person in charge is not needed by the people, they lose everything. They lose all power. And they can't have that. So that is what I believe is a major factor in all of this bullshit. A lot of people right now, they're saying the BLM thing is purely race. And I know that when you say that it's not purely race, a lot of people spurg out. But here's the thing. I think race is part of the issue. I think it's the surface level of the issue, that it's being manipulated. You've got people who are guilty, and you've got people who feel they are the victims. So they're playing into those feelings in order to create more discord, more chaos. They're preying on those real issues and amplifying them to create a result. And to an extent, everybody that is part of the game is playing into that. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't defend yourself or anything like that, or you should be like to people who clearly hate you or want you dead, like, look, man, we can just get along, because it's probably not going to work. They're very effective at brainwashing and convincing people that they're on the. Listen, if you have people saying they're on the right side of history to you, you're too far gone. You could say it's just a cute little slogan, but the fact that people actually believe this about themselves, that is insane. That is just insane. I have never thought in the course of my entire life that I was doing something that would put me in a history book as some sort of victor. The delusions of grandeur that requires to actually think that's even possible. Most people that end up in history books don't set out with that goal. It's just a consequence of something that happened throughout the course of their lives in whatever era they were in. That person didn't wake up and say, you know what, I'm on the right side of history, and therefore I'm going to make it into the history books. That's not how that works. But now you have people that just think like, oh, we're changing the world, and any change is inherently good. Unless, of course, that change is something that you want. Which is weird, because they're always talking about modern sensibilities and how that, how we should follow modern sensibilities to a T. But they're changing all the time, because the same people that tell you to adhere to them are the ones screeching for change. So which modern sensibilities should I follow? Just what, I gotta like tap into some collective hive mind where we're all connected by some sort of brain implant that tells us at all times what the right morality is? Because it's changing so rapidly from like a generational standpoint. It's absolutely insane. I mean, just think about the LGBT stuff again for a minute. I know, I don't like thinking about it either. But first it was just like, oh, well, we just want to get married like everybody else. And now it's like, give us your kids. We're pumping them full of hormones. That's not a boy. That's a little girl. Oh, and it's totally cool if this one kid is into drag stuff and hanging out with like pedophiles and shit. Like that, come on, man. That's too much. Too much. Way too much. I don't know how you can think that that's a good idea or progress or claim to be somebody that cares about people and then put those people into close proximity of predators. They don't want to believe that, of course, but the truth is there. I mean, it's all around us. I can't see the world the same way, because even though you can say like, all right, that's a bad apple or whatever, and I agree there's bad apples everywhere. But at some point, all of these individual bad apples become a bunch, and you just have to acknowledge at some point that these things are messed up problems that you're not helping by encouraging these behaviors. Damn the feels. Well, man, I don't know. I actually don't like that in a way, because usually I am probably more inclined to be like one of these it's cringe to say, but like one of these more caring people, that does want to help others and stuff. But you can't genuinely do that anymore when you're being manipulated at every turn, where somebody's trying to play on those feelings to use you for a purpose. And it's basically always at the expense of yourself. There's just way too much manipulation. So I feel as though, as a consequence, I've kind of become less apparent about the fact that that I do to an extent care about others. And I think some people can still kind of perceive that I'm an approachable person, but it's a lot harder now, because the opinions that you put out are basically all that you're judged on. Like if I say one mainstream disagreeable thing, or reverse that, disagreeable to the mainstream rather, then I'm a bad person who doesn't care about others. I don't have empathy. Despite all of the life experience that I could present that would counter that claim. But here's the thing. I don't bother. I don't bother with that. If somebody wants to be like, "Oh, you lack empathy," good, I don't give a fuck. Damn right, maybe I do. Because I do lack empathy. I do lack empathy for people who would manipulate my emotions for their own purposes. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If I feel you are disingenuous about what you are doing and the motivations behind it, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to go out of my way. They just want everybody to be this naive idiot that follows along with the narrative, and no matter how much it's to your detriment, you have to blindly believe it. I can't do that. If that makes me a bad person, so be it. I'm not here. I don't exist to be a good person in the eyes of others. Okay, you have to do what you feel is right, and it doesn't matter for the most part what others people think about that. You can't let your life be dictated by the way others perceive you, because not everybody is correct about you. I'm not saying never listen to criticism, because obviously you can learn things about yourself through your relationships with other people, but you have to be really weary of, not allowing that to control who you are, to become something that you're not just because somebody else guilted you into it. And I think that's happening with a lot of these people, and it's almost like they don't even realize it. And I almost hesitate to say that, just because it's not like I'm over here thinking I'm on some other higher level of existence, okay? But I think if I can see it, then other people should be able to as well. So it's not like a superiority thing. I'm just saying, look, I can see this. If I can see it, so can you. But it's difficult, because there's this obsession with becoming, you know what? I'll take that back. Not even becoming, but with being seen as a good person. So you don't even have to do anything to become good. You just have to have the right opinions and spout them at all times to be perceived as good. And there's a distinction there that a lot of folks seem to be forgetting. Right, Shiwan's head said it best. She wants to be seen as a good person. That's not the same thing as I want to be a good person. Two different things. Now, I don't know if it's just a lack of self-awareness that made somebody say something like that, or if the perception has really become more important than the reality. Because if you look around, to me, it shows that perception has become more important than the reality. And I will give yet another example of that. So, and I've talked about this before, so forgive me for being a broken record if you've already heard me say it. But everything gets recorded now, right? Like all these bad situations, one of the first things people do is pick up a camera, and it's also gotten to the point where people are recording really mundane things, and we're supposed to get outraged about it. But if you see a video where, let's say, for example, somebody is being arrested, okay, and they pull a gun when they're about to be handcuffed, and they start firing, and then they run away, and then they get shot, and then they scream, "Oh my God, I'm being shot," as though they're the victim. Am I supposed to not see what I just saw and pretend that the person laying there on the ground is laying there because they were a victim of something? Or am I supposed to watch the video and see, oh, that person decided that they were going to put somebody else's life at risk, and as a consequence of that, they got hurt? Because if you see some of the replies to things like this, it's like the framing of it is more important than the actual reality. shoot gun out of hand. Yeah, it's just that easy. But it's worrisome that you can have video proof and some people will still argue something else. It's like, wait a minute, it's right there. What are you talking about? What are you watching? They pay attention to a caption instead of the video that's directly below it. It's like somehow the narrative became more important than what you can visibly witness. That to me is like that's one of the most absurd things. First you attack the cops, then when they retaliate you put your hands up and they legally have to let you go. Oh, is that how that works? Yeah. And then, oh my God, I hate talking about that topic, but the whole like defund thing, or all these protests and demonstrations where people have been getting hurt, the very first thing they do when somebody gets injured, and sometimes due to their own stupidity, they call the police. They call the paramedic. Like, imagine being a cop and knowing that everybody present hates you, and you still have to help them because that's your job. Now, I'm not saying all cops are good people. They're not. But to do that, it takes a certain sort of, mental fortitude to kind of put your personal feelings aside in that situation and be like, you know what? These people hate me. Probably some of them want me dead, but I signed up for this. I got to do what I got to do. And, they carry the injured person out of there, save their life. Save the life of somebody who probably wants them dead. That, that's something. That doesn't absolve you. Okay, just to be clear now, because some people like to take points like that and manipulate them and, try to say that, oh, well, you're excusing this and that. I'm somebody who's a genuinely bad police officer that goes out of their way to hurt others or do corrupt shit. I don't get behind that, of course. You're not absolved from any criticism for the rest of your life just because you do a good act, okay? And to an extent, you did sign up for that act. So, you can still do messed up shit. But I just think that a lot of these people are under an incredible amount of pressure, and we don't realize what it takes to remain a semi-normal human being in spite of all that. There's a great video that I saw some time ago, and it's pretty old. It's like from an old news segment where there's a guy who used to be an activist who was against police brutality, and he goes to one of these training exercises, where they give you they give you scenarios where they give you a fake gun and they'll have actors who are, in a conflict of some sort, and you have to resolve the conflict. You have to decide how you're going to act, how you're going to, are you going to pull your taser, are you going to pull your gun, you're going to have to shoot somebody, you're going to just be able to arrest them peacefully, whatever. And within moments, he shot like 2 or 3 people. I don't know if this is... Oh, no, this is not the one. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so he came out of that exercise saying, you know what? I actually realized that, one of the best things you can do is that even if an officer is wrong in arresting you, one of the best things you can do is just be compliant, because then you can get out of the situation alive, and then you can take some sort of legal recourse if that cop is in the wrong. Now look, I also understand the counter argument to this, that the justice system is rigged against us in the sense that they'll protect the police. Maybe to an extent there's some truth to that, but that doesn't mean you just don't try. That doesn't mean you just you get up and get yourself killed. Why? What do you want to be like a martyr for this shit? Nobody will care about you in a week. Nobody. They'll use your death as a springboard for their purposes, but they won't care about you. You'll have people that are speaking in your name. using you as some sort of figurehead, propping you up. Look, I don't know. I mean, maybe you can say, oh, well, you can't care after you're dead or whatever. But I know I wouldn't want my name in other people's mouths to justify their own opinions. Now, maybe that's weird because I'm sitting here talking about my opinions and sharing them. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to be used for those kind of purposes. I think if you got something to say and you think it has value, then you don't need somebody else to validate that for you. Like, you don't need to use somebody else's name. That's why it kind of bothers me when people latch on to, like, celebrity opinions to boost their own. Like, oh, well, Taylor Swift said... Like, who gives a shit what that bitch said? Nobody. Nobody cares. Nobody with a brain cares. Don't do that. Just speak your opinion, and if it has value, then maybe it'll catch on. Now, I get it. There's a lot of people don't care what a lot of people have to say because you're just like one of the little guys or whatever. But that's just how it is, you know? You don't get to boost yourself up. Or you shouldn't. Rip Game Boy, Surviving Family, Advance and SP had this to say, he was gone too soon. Appeal to Scratch Authority. Yeah, that would be just cringe. I can't imagine. Turdler shit is not my hero. Yeah, I can understand that. Rip George Foreman. He left us his grill, and that's what really counts. Wow. How long has it been? What the fuck have I been going on about? I don't even know. It's turning out a little bit better than I thought. I thought I was just going to be mindlessly rambling here. Your fallacy is... Oh, my God. You know what's really aggravates me about that? Hold on. Let me find it. See if I can find the poster thing. Okay, so this website. I'm going to post it in the chat for you. Imagine being such a tard, like such a pseudo-intellectual, that you have to buy a poster. A fallacies poster. What? $20 for... Oh my God. $20 to have a poster that describes fallacies. Why would you ever hang this on your wall? What kind of cringe tard do you have to be to do critical thinking cards? Listen. If you need a deck of cards to help you think critically, you've already failed. It's over. Don't bother. Don't think. Don't do anything. Just give up. Give up. Most Redditors have these posters. That's true. I don't know. I don't really... I think a lot of this shit... The thing that bothers me the most about seeing people use these is that they'll think in and of itself that this is a counter-argument. Like, you could just throw this label out there on somebody, and then you don't have to explain anything further because you have the power of the fallacy label on your side to validate what you said. And that's just sad to me. I've come to find that the people that overuse these labels are always inevitably guilty of the very one they're accusing you of, or some other one on the poster. I mean, that's a little bit fun to do because they get really aggravated about that. But man, it's just these were like the 2015, 2016 days of arguing with people in the YouTube comments section. Like, I can't tell you how many times somebody tried to pull that shit. And it's like, all right, I mean, I guess on the surface, they are terms that can help you understand concepts and maybe why an argument is faulty, but if you're just relying on this as a way to like get one over on people, I think you're bad at arguments. Because I mean, look, I not to toot my own horn here or whatever, but I feel like I can make solid arguments without falling back on these things to make me look like some kind of critical thinker, okay? And when I've come across the people that overuse the terms, they don't seem to be able to be capable of doing that. They're like, well, you're just wrong because, well, this is a fallacy and therefore you're dumb. Oh, okay, it's that simple? My mistake. I take everything back now. See the underarm here? Nude. Oh, wow. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I can't believe it. That was the one that ended up having the open legs in the photo, right? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Absolutely disgusting. Just disgusting. She was Athena. Yeah, gross. No way. I don't get... There were so many people talking about that, like, oh, nudity is a valid form of protest. Why? Why? To me, it just says, like, you have nothing of value to say. And also, it kind of plays into the idea that you putting your body out there is offensive. I thought the whole point was like, oh, it's nobody's body is offensive. But in this situation, you're using it as a form of protest, which is to be disruptive, to outrage the people who you are protesting against, to do something that you think that they think is destroying. Yeah, well, that is also true. That is also true. To me, it just says that you're dumb. Maybe you can say I'm being a tad reductive there, but as they say when they start getting beat down for destroying stuff, use your words. That's I think the whole concept of rights has been completely warped. Because now it's like, oh, the police are there infringing on their rights. The feds are infringing on their rights. Well, wait a minute. Well, what were they doing? Oh, they were pulling down statues and smashing windows. Oh, that stuff didn't belong to them? Oh, man. That sounds like a crime. I didn't know crime was a right now. I thought that was against these things we call laws. It's absurd. It's completely absurd. I was going to talk about this on the podcast, but like one of my favorites that I've seen, and by favorite I mean I think is really, really dumb, is these left-leaning morons who are like, huh, where are all the Second Amendment supporters to fight the tyranny now? Like, you want the conservatives and the people that support the Second Amendment to come out and fight for people that have been trying to destroy their lives for years, that have been using tyrannical tactics? Or somehow they're not principled people? Are you... What? What are you talking about? They have not been hypocritical about their support for the Second Amendment at all. Everybody can get a firearm as long as they're, legally qualified to do so. They can, once they're in possession of it, they can do what they wish with it. I mean, they might not make a legal choice, but they can do it. Yeah, it's a little bit redundant, I suppose, a little bit. But it's like, I was trying to think, because that's freaking Izzy No Brain, as I've redubbed him. he was like one of those people who was like, I'm a reasonable person, I'm a skeptic or whatever. I don't know if he actually used the term skeptic, but you know, he was in that circle for a little while, at least playing around with those people. And so he then became radicalized by ContraPoints and decided that he's against everything that he stood for before. And so now he's trying to call out 2A supporters that they're hypocritical, that they don't really believe in the Second Amendment because they're not out there shooting at federal officers. Like, what are you talking about? Why would anybody ever start a war over people that want them dead? And have been using very, very disingenuous tactics to make sure that their lives are ruined. It's absurdity. It doesn't make any sense. It's the weakest gotcha. The other person that I saw do that was that Vito. I don't Vito something. He's like a YouTube. He's the one that made the dumb video about drinking Belle Delphine's gamer girl bathwater. No, I assure you, I'm not in a wheelchair. Not yet. Hopefully never, but you know, you never know what the future's going to bring. Shion had also do. That's right. I almost forgot because I had to look from behind the block, and then I think I mentioned it on Twitter. I replied to a few of them, so I forgot who I used as the talking point. Mutiny with the ice cream, much appreciated. Vito vaped. Oh, vaped. That's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Why did I say drank? I mean, I guess in a way that's along the same lines, sort of. You're still sucking it down there. I don't even know if he really. I don't think he even really bought it. I think he just, did like a comedy video. I don't know what the funny part is, but I didn't watch it. I just remember seeing him post about it on Twitter, and then people were like making fun of him for it, and he's like, oh, it's just a prank, bro. But yeah, I saw that really ridiculous take from him as well. He's like, you're a bootlicker. And that's another thing I hate. It's like, how is it that you can be supported, like your opinions can be supported by every corporation and institution, and somehow the people that are against that are licking boot? That's the craziest. That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. There's like no self-awareness. None. Now, I'm not saying you're inherently wrong because you are the quote-unquote the system. I mean, these guys, I do think they are wrong, but it's not because they're the system. It's because I think they're wrong on the foundation of their beliefs. But if your argument is that this is the system and it's oppressive and all this other stuff, then how do you justify that? And I still kind of cringe at this whole like, oh, power, people in power, people in power need to give up their power thing, because they obviously don't believe that. They just want it for themselves and then to maintain control. Like you have to be an idiot to think that quote unquote power is just going to keep changing hands because it's inherently bad to come into power. You don't think that power is bad. You just wish you had more so that you could, spread your influence. And then this thing of like all worldviews are valid, but then of course again they don't believe that, because if you're on the Nazi side, which is really just like, I don't know, you don't think kids should take hormones, and maybe you don't think endless immigration is a useful system for like the stability of your nation or whatever. Oh well, then you're a Nazi. Okay, goodbye. So the bar is so low that it just doesn't even matter anymore. It's one of those useless labels. Whew. All right. I don't know. We've been going for like 2 hours. I don't know if anybody else has anything to talk about, but I think I'm just about fresh out. So yeah, I don't know. I need to. I guess in conclusion, I need to like think about what I want to do in order to maintain consistency in streaming. I mean, I kind of like to have a plan before I get on here. Like this was completely impromptu. I had absolutely no direction other than just to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna bitch about the air conditioning because I'm sweating to death. And then it turned into all this. So remember the Covington story? Yeah, I remember that. So he won his lawsuit against the Washington Post, I believe, or settled with them at least. That's that's a good thing. I mean, that's one good thing. Transmitted or whatever. No, no, they aren't. I've seen that so many times. Oh, I kind of wanted to save that for an on point, but I almost feel like we pretty much are. The thing is, I feel bad because I didn't go live on YouTube, and I completely neglected the people that show up for the streams there. And in a sense, they're kind of dedicated because I rarely go live on YouTube anymore. So the fact that they even bother to show up is just, well, I'm grateful for it. Not that I'm any less grateful for the people that show up here all the time. Just to be clear on that, it's just I'm surprised that they still remember that the channel exists after a while. Because I really haven't done anything with YouTube anymore. I've kind of got out of that stuff for the most part. It's because it's just so headache inducing, and eventually you get to a point where you feel like you said everything you want to say, and sometimes that happens with just these streams too. I try to keep it a little bit different, but I know we retread familiar ground just because it's like we're inundated with the same things over and over every day. And a lot of it is, the thing is, I don't want to play into it too much. It's like, yeah, I have my opinions on it, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of it is a big distraction. It keeps you annoyed and angry and focused on that bullshit when you end up neglecting other parts of your life, like your hobbies, and to me it's not worth it. Like, granted, one of the things I like to do is, I like to write, and I like to talk about what I think about stuff. Sure, I mean it's like an outlet for me, but at the same time, I don't want that to be all you end up as. It's kind of frustrating, and especially if it's not something that you can really I guess we're gonna see the shekel point sticker, but if it's not something that you can really monetize, I don't feel like it's 100% worth putting so much time and effort into, because it's a taxing. Well, we'll just leave it at that. It's taxing in a way, and you always kind of have to be on the lookout for more things that don't really enrich your life in any meaningful way. Like, if anything, it just makes you despise a lot of stuff, and that's just not something that you want to do. Everything. Wow. Yeah. Oh boy, I'm really feeling it. I'm feeling the privilege. Drama alert. Yeah. Joe Rogan of a take. Well, I mean, everybody's right sometimes, right? Maybe. I don't know. It's not really though, because all my other hobbies are not monetized. Like, I'm just so. I mean, the things that I really put value in, I don't make any money on. So it's not quite Joe Rogan. I see the connection that you're trying to make there, but no, like on the surface level, it's not like I don't know if you were here earlier, but we talked about that. It wasn't that bad. It's just it's something that you can add to, or that you could say about any type of hobby if you like overindulge in it. You know, it's like if you make one thing your life. TNK with the diamond. He's sending me a YouTube link. I don't know what it is, but I will look real quick here. What is this? Okay, I don't. What is it? Like, can I play that? All right. I appreciate the diamond though. Yeah, I mean, look, it's if you want to use that as an example or something. I mean, I guess that's fine. I don't know the context, like the whole context of the conversation, to, say why it is that he singled out gaming. I'm not saying it's never okay to do that, but there are a lot of people now that just because gaming has been so, or at least the people that play the games have been so demonized that they get like a little bit rowdy over anything that kind of goes against their hobby now, and I think they gotta develop like a little bit more of self-awareness to say that you're not just like freaking out about any little thing that somebody says. It's the ending song for the stream. All right. I mean, I guess I don't know what it is. I kind of wish I could screen these things first. Fox. Keenan with the 2-month sub streak. Thank you, much appreciated. But here's the thing. Somebody pulled up an Instagram post of his or something where they showed that he was like he was praising playing Quake or some shit. So I don't even understand the whole thing. It's completely stream friendly. All right. Is it important to see the video on screen? Because I mean, I can try to open that up. Why is it all in Russian, though? Is that Russian? I think it is. Oh, jeez. Interesting times. I don't know. I think I don't know exactly what I'm in the mood for, but I need to find like another long-term game just so that I have something that is familiar that I can just focus on for a little while without having to think about every day, like, okay, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? So, in spite of how Final Fantasy VII remake turned out at the end, at the very least... Oh, is it Greek? Okay. That was my next guess, but, Rogan used to play Quake a lot, but then he became a stoner. The other thing... What was I talking about? I was talking about Final Fantasy VII. Right, it just gave me something to do, Like, we all knew what was going to happen on the stream, and then I didn't have to think about too deeply about what I was going to do and agonize about it. I do that sometimes. I do think about the stream, think about the quality of the stream, like something interesting. But the thing is like, I'm picky. I know that. I don't like a lot of things that... I don't like to do a lot of things just to do them. It's got to be something I'm invested in, or else it gets really, really tedious. And then sometimes I get in those moods where everything sort of feels that way. So in order to in order to pick something, it just becomes like near impossible. Because I'm like, fuck, I don't even want to do this. But I was talking about that at the beginning, and it's nothing, you know. That's my own bullshit that I overanalyze and think too much about. You can't rush quality. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. The thing is I want to provide some semblance of consistency. That's all. It's not really so much that I don't know. Maybe I should make an actual schedule, but then I know that sometimes when I have like days off from it or whatever, I'll probably be like, oh, okay, I want to stream. So, what is that title? What does it say? I didn't get a chance to like translate it or whatever. Now I'm a little concerned. Is it actually in Greek? Like, are they singing in Greek? Or is it just for some reason the title? Let me see. Let me look at this. Oh, what? Why is that there? So, from one of the times we did a stream, flowers on my dick? Are you for real? Well, is it safe because nobody understands it? I think if we indulge in this cringe, then I think I'm gonna have to end it out with something else. Like it'll be the second to last. Schedules are for gays and entropy live streamers. I have an entropy, but I've never used it. It's on YouTube. If it is there, then it's. I don't know if I would actually agree with that, man. I've seen some weird shit make it onto YouTube, and it's still there. But I understand what you're saying. For the most part, you're right. Do you really want a Zelda stream? It's already like 9. I know that's not late, but last night I went to bed early. That's why I didn't even get online. The thing is I'm pouring with sweat. He also wanted you to turn off that pesky ad block. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to like everything that they're going to put out. Can somebody explain, like, what is this flowers on their dick thing all about? I guess I don't get it. What is the joke? Where do you get this stuff? That's what I really want to know. A Zelda stream? Is it like gay Zelda? Yeah, it does. If I knew Greek, I could tell you. Well, I thought maybe somebody. Are these the ancestors of Plato and Aristotle? Let's see if in the comments somebody explains this. Somebody said oy vey 2 years ago. I finally understand. But they didn't help us out with an explanation. What's wrong with these people? Copyright? Okay, there's nothing of value in this comment section. Oh, the lyrics are in the description. I didn't even see the description. Here we go. Well, I mean, I guess I could just... I don't know how well it works for Google, but I'm just going to copy and paste it and let's see what happens. I'm sure it's A+ translation. Okay. You were not for me, but you were for prostitution? There's some very... Alright, I don't know. It's weird. Of course it's weird. Where the cuck dad replaced Link with Zelda? Oh, you're talking about... Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Google is like in between Japanese and Romance languages for Greek. It seems like... I mean, you know, obviously I can't say because I don't know Greek, but it seems decent. Like, the lyrics are funny, but they're not completely nonsensical. So it might be pretty accurate. That's not what I said. For the YouTube video, right? You're trying to turn the crowd against me. You're gonna get out the pitchforks. I don't think that's right, man. Don't think that's right. I don't know. We'll probably do gaming tomorrow. I don't think I'm gonna have another one of these just yet. This was kind of just a vent, a much needed venting stream, I guess. Keenan is Moe? No. What? Why would I say that? He's a dude. No dictionary had the word for dick, though, except Greek Wiktionary. Huh. Interesting. Don't rip you off. Now listen. Moderator, Keenan? Nice. Okay. That's pretty funny. Now wait a sec. Now listen. I appreciate the diamond, but I'm curious where I said the price of a song was a diamond. I didn't say that. I'll be nice. I'll be nice and I will do it. But just for future reference, that was never the price. An on-point podcast, but not an on-point podcast. Yeah, that is true. I should have just went with it. Maybe I'll upload it to YouTube, like the archive to YouTube as such. That might make sense. Although I don't really understand, I don't remember everything that we talked about in order to label it properly, but I'll have to like scan through. Not me. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not good. Scamler. Well, I'm just saying that there's a degree of quality standards, and so I don't really want to turn things into complete cringe around here. Alright, let me get this out of the way. What is this? Do the $20? No. I'm thinking we can't do $20. We gotta go by the scale of dlive. So I mean the next thing up is Ninjagini, but that seems a little outrageous to me. I mean, I'm pretty fair. So I think Ninjagini's a little bit expensive for that. Special friends. Okay, you guys are getting weirder and weirder every time you somehow meet up in the chat here. I don't quite know what's going on. Beginning to think maybe you guys are talking behind the scenes or something, because it's getting worrisome. I will say that. All right, let me see what else I wanna play here after we play a little cringe. I gotta go out on some kind of better note, you know. If it's Sefi, it's okay. I don't know if I agree with that. We could do 5 diamonds for a more fair price. You got some cringe. There's never a shortage of it on the internet, so if you wanna post it, maybe we'll see what it's about before we go. A little dead air in time waiting here. Will not tolerate this slander. Oh. Well, it seems like you guys needed a private moment, so I just figured that it might be about time. It's like the get a room version of the chat room. Okay, let me see what this is. Wait. Autistic Spaghetti Brony meets the cast of MLP. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, hold up. Alright, let me pull up a different let me pull up a different browser here. So that the one that actually gets captured by OBS. Give me a moment. Guess we're going out on double cringe, so we're gonna need even more, an even bigger cleanser. All right, now close these out. I'm losing the chat. Well, it's not a song. It's just some stupid. It's much shorter. I will say that. This version on How I Met Your Mother in Scratch's chat. That is interesting. Look, we're not playing matchmakers around here. If you if something like that happens just by consequence of chat interactions, I mean, there's not much I can say there. All right, that wasn't that's the dlive window, so it's not like necessarily the wrong one, but it wasn't the right page either. All right, let me see. What the hell? How come it's not showing the other window? Hold up. There we go. Right there. Alright, let me move. Wait, what was that? I had to catch back up here. Blooming in Scratch Point. Yeah, maybe. Man, why does it have to be so fruity though? I don't know what I was thinking. Alright, let's hear what this is all about before we get too crazy here.
So, anyway, we all know about the great bronies here, right? All right, but... All right.
Oh, wow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what keeps happening up here. Somebody says closer, and the person goes, I want the mic bumping almost into your chin, okay? It's an antiseptic foam rubber, and you don't have to worry about catching anybody's cold.
Yeah, you do. What about herpes?
All right, so anyway...
There we go.
We know about everyone here and how great the show is, right?
No.
However, as most of us are aware, there's a darker side to the fandom which we know pretty well. To Mrs. Oliver and Miss Libman.
Great.
All right, so
what the
I'm
fuck?
Sure
what was that?
Of Princess Celestia being portrayed as a tyrant, an internet troll, and God forbid a molester. and Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy on occasion.
No.
I'm canceling this question.
So I'm going to let you know from where I stand, the darker side of the fandom is not part of what I will talk about. It's not part of what the show's about. If you choose to do that, that's your choice. It's not why we're here, not why I'm here anyway. So my name is Nicole Oliver. I voice Princess Celestia. I voice Cheerly, and I'm really glad you all like the show. And I'm glad that it's helped a lot of people and you all have fun with it. We'll leave it at that.
What? Can I just ask why this is full of anything other than little girls? Like, why? What is the... Look, all right. I'm not usually one of those people that's like, oh, you're how old and you do this? Okay, but My Little Pony? My Little Pony? What is going on here? I don't get it. I genuinely do not get it. Like, I understand that, you know, you have kids, maybe you watch the shows with your kids or whatever, but this is crazy. And what white people, what happened? What is this? What's wrong with you? Like, clean it up, man. Clean it up. Also, even if you knew about something like this, all right, let's just pretend for a moment that this is all normal, okay? Why on earth would you ask a voice actor a question like this? Like, why? What do you think they're going to say other than, oh, I disavow that, or we shouldn't talk about that here? What are they going to do? Do you expect them to go on some, like, long diatribe, or do you expect them to, I don't know, maybe this guy's looking for agreement, validation, like, oh, I love the dark side. I don't get it. I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to, but the whole thing just seems completely absurd to me. What was that noise, that weird noise that came out of his throat there? It just sounded like some kind of Tourette's thing or something. I don't know. Maybe he had a burp caught. You never know with these people, but they're acting... I mean, look, if you want the dark side of My Little Pony, just look at this still image right here. This is it. We found it. We found the dark side. Right here. You look no further. It's on the screen. Time to stop. Cancel. Cancel. Delete. Control-Alt-Delete. Reset. Delete System 32. Goodbye. Just stop. What is the spaghetti thing, though? Like, is that a person? Or is that just like a descriptor? So is the guy's name Spaghetti, or is Autistic Spaghetti just like, oh, he's spilling autistic spaghetti? Is that the meme? I'm not down in this thing. Okay, so it's the spaghetti meme. Okay. You never know. Like, some people have some weird online handles. Oh, okay. Well, what else is going on here? It's Monday. It's only Monday. The vast majority of all brony shit. Remember the Vic Mignogna hate campaign started when he refused to sign Yali fan art of his characters? The fans want validation. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember, like, the spilling your spaghetti or whatever. That's just so annoying, though. Oh, let's cancel this dude because he doesn't want to sign my gay artwork. Why I wouldn't either. I wouldn't put my name on that shit. Get out of here. Like, you're a weirdo. And you know, it's nice that you went out of your way to come meet the guy maybe, but that doesn't mean you're owed anything. I don't know. I'm not really too much into the whole signing thing either. See the stuff from the Nintendo League? I saw some, yes. One of the things that I was interested in that I haven't actually seen any material on is that they were saying that Super Mario RPG had some stuff in there. So I want to see. I don't know. I hope maybe there's like a playable prototype or, you know, some kind of graphical stuff that's in there that we can look at. That would be interesting. Or maybe like music. I want to see something. Because Super Mario RPG is like it's a really good, really interesting game. It just had a lot of personality. Like that's an RPG that I don't know, it's almost, I can't think of another one at like off the top of my head that I would compare it to. Even though that like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga or whatever kind of kept alive that whole like RPG with a lot of personality thing. I think Super Mario RPG is like really, really unique. It also has like a really great look to it, and yeah, the Yoshi's Island prototype looked interesting. had a different UI, and I think it was like it said Super Mario Brothers 5 on the title screen. I don't know if that was always there. No. Wait, maybe. I guess it depends. Was it in the Japanese version or not? Because I don't remember it being there on the English one. Another interesting thing is like the evolution of Yoshi. We had some like really, really weird looking Yoshi characters. Oh, that's right, because it was Super Mario World 2, right? Problem with Mario RPG is that after Peach wins, the game becomes group hug to win. I mean, I think you can do it without it, but I guess I see what you mean. It is a very useful skill. It's like it's hard to just forget about, knowing that you can heal everybody. And also, I think it also removes status effects, which is really awesome. I do admit, I usually have Peach in the party, and usually with the lazy shell armor, so. Bronies. Yeah, I don't know. This is wild. This is absolute cringe-tastic stuff here. All right. It's a cure-all. I think that is going to be the end. So we'll play this video that TNK has pushed upon us. We'll endure the 3 minutes, and then I'll probably play another song to play the stream out. But thank you guys for joining and just listening to the random ramblings of a semi-crazy person. I appreciate it. I appreciate the donations and, of course, all the interactions. Keenan with the ice cream, much appreciated. All right, guys. I am going to mute and let this play, and then play a song, and we'll be done. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Σου έστειλα γράμματα και ευχές και λόγια της αγάπης. Σου έστειλα email και SMS, μα εσύ χαζή με γράφεις. Το σπίτι μας μοιάζει ερημιά, γιατί σε μακριά μου σφάζεις τη δόλια μου καρδιά, τελειώνεις τα όνειρά μου.
Στο μπούτσο μου λουλούδια,
στο μπούτσο μου λουλούδια, και γύρω γύρω μέλισσες, στα χείλια μου επίσης, που κάποιον άλλον θέλησες. Στο μπούτσο μου λουλούδια, και γύρω γύρω μέλισσες, δυο περαστικό γωνιά και 7.000 περνικές. Στο μπούτσο μου λουλούδια, και γύρω γύρω μέλισσες, στα χείλια μου επίσης, που κάποιον άλλον θέλησες. Στο μπούτσο μου λουλούδια, και γύρω γύρω μέλισσες, δυο περαστικό γωνιά και 7.000 περνικές.
όπως είπα πριν, ήταν ένα αστείο. Δεν ήσουνα για μένα, μα ήσουν για πορείο. Βολοχανείο, ήτανε το σπίτι μας. Όλοι μπαινόντιαναν κάτω από τη μύτη μας. Το σ' αγαπώ για μας, ισούται με τη λέξη μαχαιρώνω. Πίσω βροντα εσένα, αφού σε κερατώνω. Δεν είχαμε αρχή, μα ούτε και τέλος. Αγάπη δεν υπήρχε. Τσακ κράτησε το βέλος. Που θέλω ήταν εντελώς μαγευτικός. Δεν έφυγα νεκρός, αλλά πιο δυνατός. Κατάλαβα απ' την αρχή πως ήσουν για ένα κρύο. Κατάλαβα πως ήσουν τρελό ευβίο. Ο νέος σου καμιάς, για από κινούμενα σχέδια. Δεν είναι σοβαρός, δεν ξέρει καν προπαίδεια. Γι' αυτό σου αφιερώνω αυτό το ρεφρέν. Να το ακούς παρέα με το τεντέν.
Στο πουλσο μου λουλούδια και γύρω με λύσεις. Τα χείλια μου επίσης που κάποιον άλλον θέλησες. Στο πουλσο μου λουλούδια και γύρω με λύσεις. Δυο περαστή κογόνια και 7.000 περνικές. Στο πουλσο μου λουλούδια και γύρω με λύσεις. Τα χείλια μου επίσης που κάποιον άλλον θέλησες. Στο πουλσο μου λουλούδια και γύρω με λύσεις. Δυο περαστή κογόνια και 7.000 περνικές.
In this hourglass, it's a landslide. Never seen a blue sky. Yeah, I can feel it reaching out and moving closer. There's something about blue. Ask myself what it's all for. You know the funny thing about it, I couldn't answer. No, I couldn't answer. Things are turning deeper shade of blue. And images that might be real, maybe illusion. Keep flashing off and on. Wanna be